Thank you for joining us. I'm Brett Duncan with Devoted, and I have on screen with me right now Kuda Biza from Nunbelievable. What is up, Kuda?
Hey Brett, how are you doing?
I'm
Pleasure to be here, and I'm excited about the Devoted launch, the 2.0 launch that you guys have just done.
Yeah, no, thanks, Kuda. Yeah, it is. We're excited. A lot of people don't know this, but as all the thinking and processing and everything that I've done over the last year or so, you and your partner Brian with Unbelievable, y'all were an instrumental part of those conversations, just kind of encouraging me and helping me and think through all of that. So let me just publicly say thanks to you guys just for that. That meant the world to me.
Well, we believe in what you're doing, and we love your business model and how you have an ecosystem where you're empowering people and creating a value for them. So, we wanted to make sure that the model comes back and it's successful. So we're more than happy to help.
Well, that's awesome. Thanks, Kuda. But let's talk about you. So we're shining the light on Unbelievable. Tell us real quickly a little bit your background and then how that led to creating Nunbelievable.
Yeah, and as you can tell from my Southern accent, right? And Southern meaning Southern Africa. I was born in Zimbabwe, so I grew up in Africa, and I always had a dream of coming to America. But I grew up, in a poor family. My parents didn't have enough money to, let alone just feed us as a family to then pay for my college education. So I had to work really, really hard to get a scholarship. I arrived at Miami International Airport with only $40 in my pocket, and I knew that it was a blessing for me to be here, but I also had to work hard to really carve a path for myself to where I am today. But growing up in Zimbabwe was amazing for me for a lot of reasons. It got me to really understand some of the challenges that people face every day. So today I'm very grateful for what I have. But also it opened up my eyes to issues that people face globally, like poverty and hunger. In 1992, when I was just 7 years old, Zimbabwe and the whole Southern African region, we got hit by a severe drought. In fact, there's a New York Times, front page cover that said that drought was the worst drought to hit Southern Africa in the century. Like, wow. It was so bad. And as a young kid, 7 years old, I think I was in second or third grade, I got to know what it feels like to go to bed on an empty stomach because there was just no food anywhere. So at a very young age, hunger became something very, very personal to me. But I was fortunate that my dad was part of the food relief efforts at the time through ministry. So through the church that he was a minister, they would receive donations from nonprofit organizations and they would distribute them across the country. Now, what's interesting was that when he would come back home, he would tell me one of two stories. So story number one would be, hey, Kuda, we got to this remote village and we were able to save, a family that hadn't had anything to eat but water for 2 days.
Yeah.
Or the sad story of we got there a day late, a grandma and a 4-year-old passed away the night before we arrived. So for me, I kind of knew at a very young age the tremendous effects of hunger. And when I came to America, I was, surprised when I was in college, first of all, by just the sheer waste of, the amount of food that was being thrown away. And I always wanted to do something about it. And when the idea for Unbelievable came about, for me, it was a no-brainer to be a part of because number one, the hunger issue in America is big. More than 42 million Americans struggle with hunger. Now, when you take a minute to think about that statistic, it's a big statistic because there are more people who struggle with hunger than there are people in Canada. The Canadian population is 35 million, yet in America, there's over 42 million Americans who are struggling with hunger. But what happens is that, sometimes people by nature, we forget about these issues if it's not happening in your backyard, if it's not happening at your house or your neighbor's house, it's something that's not as near and dear to you. So when we launched Nunbelievable, part of the thesis was, as a brand, can we raise awareness to the hunger issue while we're also coming up with a method to solve it. So that's how we then came up with our 1-for-1 model.
Got it. Well, and yeah, fascinating. And what you brought up is obviously kind of out of sight, out of mind, right? Like, thank the Lord, I can't imagine what it's like to truly be hungry. And therefore I assume, well, it's not really an issue then, at least not around here, but obviously it is. And to think, I mean, there's probably no more foundational an issue than, hey, I need food, like, and I can't get it. It's a basic human need. And so all the different things that impacts. Fill in the gap. So you said you came in, you got to the US, you're in Miami. I know all kinds of stuff must have happened between that and starting Nunbelievable. And not that you need to cover all of that, but what was your journey and what led up to the creation of Nunbelievable?
Yeah, so with Nunbelievable, what actually happened was, it was a very interesting story. So when I graduated college, I went into corporate America, and I spent over a decade in corporate America. Now, what's interesting was that in college, I started a business with $150 in my dorm room. Now, it's an important story to share, mainly because it is what opened up my corporate career. So when I was in college, the company that hired me, Jordan Corporation, at the time they owned brands like Crock-Pot, Mr. Coffee, Yankee Candle. They were really interested by my ability to be resourceful rather than looking at the lack of resources, right? Because I was a poor college student, yet I was able to create a business, which was a social venture. So that social venture, we ended up educating over 150 kids in Africa when I was in college. So at the time, Jordan was looking for ways to come up with innovation internally. So they were like, hey, we shouldn't look for corporate folks, people who've been in the marketplace for 10, 15 years, because their thinking is now shaped by corporate. Right. We need fresh thinkers, people who can be very scrappy. So they offered me this opportunity to come in and literally create new businesses from scratch. Wow. So here I am, 18, 19 years old. No, sorry, I was like around 20, 21, being offered an opportunity to go into this multi-billion-dollar company and literally just come up with ideas and go pitch them to the CEO and the chairman, get funding, and then, I go do it. So One of the ideas we came up with was creating a line of meals called Crock-Pot cuisine. Because as I went into the business, I'm like, hey guys, everybody and their mother has a slow cooker, right? Everybody has a slow cooker. But unlike Keurig or Nespresso, we don't have a durable consumable model where when you buy the device, you can also buy what goes with it. But Who knows slow cooking better than us? So they were like, okay, brilliant idea, now go figure it out. I'm like, okay, well, that's the punishment for coming up with brilliant ideas. So long and short is, we went out and we figured out how to create a line of frozen meals. That business went from 0 to over $20 million in annual revenue in less than 3 years. So that kind of like gave me experience in launching a food-based e-commerce business. And also remember, in college, I had started a social venture. So I had kind of like 2 dots on my resume that were very significant. Now, to fast forward, I've been in corporate America for 10 years or so. I'm now running a $100 million e-commerce division. I get a call and they go like, hey, Kuda, there's a meeting in New York City. You need to be there. So figure out a way to get into Manhattan and go to this meeting. So at first I was like, do I really want to go there? They didn't even tell me what it's about. But I was like, you know what? Sometimes God just puts opportunities for you and just see if you take a leap of faith. Just go and listen. It won't hurt. So I went to New York City. I go to this meeting and they start telling me a story. They go like, hey, Kuda, a man was on his way to San Francisco. I'm like, okay, where's this going now? And they go like, on his way to San Francisco, he reads the newspaper. In the newspaper, there's an article of a group of nuns that are being evicted. He arrives in San Francisco, I think a couple of hours early, based on his schedule. So he was like, hey, I have some extra time. Let me actually go and see what's going on with these nuns. So he went to their mission and he finds out that there was about 3 months behind on rent. takes his checkbook, writes them a check, gives them the money they needed to catch up on their rent. But he was really, really touched by this story. So he makes some phone calls and he comes up with about $1 million. And he pitches to the landlord to say like, hey, can we buy a property so that we become the landlord or whatever? So anyway, they were able to figure out a solution for the nuns. And as they were kind of like building this relationship with the nuns, they learned that these nuns were baking cookies, selling the cookies at farmers markets, and then using the money from the cookie sales to feed, people in San Francisco, because in San Francisco, the cost of living is high.
Sure.
There's a high rate of homelessness, and there's a lot of people who are struggling with hunger. So they were just meeting this need. However, they didn't really have these big aspirations of like, hey, we're going to create this big brand, we're going to be in every retail store, and we're going to change the world or anything like that. They were really just content going to the farmers market and making an impact in areas that they operated. So this gentleman was like, hey, what if we were to create a cookie company like a Tom's Shoes 1-for-1, where for every baked good that we sell, we provide a meal to someone in need. And this guy turns out to be Tony Robbins. So I'm like, okay.
Hold on. You say, just so everyone's clear, when you say Tony Robbins, we're talking big, tall, amazing, like
motivational.
That Tony Robbins.
Yeah, that Tony Robbins.
Okay.
So, like it now catches my attention because I'm like, what? Okay, the Tony Robbins. All right. So what is he trying to do? What's the vision here? And they're like, hey, we want to create a company here, but we need an entrepreneur. You started a social venture when you were in college. You also started an e-commerce based food business with Crockpot Cuisine, and it was successful. And also, I knew Brian, my business partner, and we had kind of like worked together on projects before. And he started a meal delivery business that he sold to Nutrisystem. So they were like, hey, if we were to put the two of you back together, you've been there, done that in the food e-com space. And Kuda, with your connection with, giving back, they didn't even know the story about me facing, going through a drought in Africa. I was like, I'm sold. It's like, you don't even need to say more because I have, the tools and the skill set to be able to build this. But more importantly, I have a personal connection to hunger. This is something that I want to solve. I don't want other people to go through what I went through. So I left and I quit my job and I called my dad, and my dad was like, what are you doing? Like, you've achieved the American dream. You have a 6-figure salary. You're working in a big corporation that has stability. Why are you just adding a lot of risk to what you're doing? You're married about a year ago. You need to think about your family. And he said something that was interesting. He was like, do you know that the world doesn't need another cookie company? And I was like, you know what? It's true. The world does not need another cookie company. What the world actually does need, though, is a cookie company that makes a difference. A cookie company that has a purpose. Because if you go into the aisle, go look into all of the cookie companies in your local grocery store. You'll probably find that none of them have their DNA fundamentally built on giving back, feeding people, and fighting hunger. Yeah. That's what the world needs. And for me, as I was telling this to my dad, it became that reassurance that I'm making the right decision. And we really need to, move forward and launch Nunbelievable. And that was in 2019 when all of this was happening, around March. And then in October, we went live with our line. And we built the business, in a very interesting time because it was Q4, very challenging. And then 8 weeks or so later into the new year, boom, we get hit by the pandemic. So, talk about, facing adversity when you're very early in your growth phase. That's what we went through.
Man, what an amazing story. And I mean, there's so many ways we could go with that, but I think, and I'd love to get your take on this, given you're so experienced here, but social enterprise, social entrepreneurship, social ventures, one of the ways that I look at that, I've heard other people describe it this way, is, there's businesses that give back or make donations or have causes they support, and that's absolutely amazing. That's not taking one thing away from that. But social entrepreneurship takes that a step further, because really someone like you, someone like Tony, someone like whoever got involved, Brian obviously as well, you didn't have a business and say, oh, let's start giving back. You saw a problem that needed to be solved, and you said, you know what, I think the best way to solve that problem is through business. So let's create a business that solves that problem, and by how it does it. Of course, you have the one for one model. So I think that's that's what really gets me excited. And it's, we talk about it obviously a lot, and I know you're around it all day long, but truly leveraging commerce and business to solve those problems.
So the way I look at it is that, number one, what is the definition of an entrepreneur? At the end of the day, the definition of an entrepreneur is that you're problem solver, because that's what every entrepreneur has done, right? They see a need in the market, they come up with a solution, and then they generate tremendous wealth and revenue for their business as well for their shareholders. What we're just saying is that, hey, we are entrepreneurs that are also solving a problem. And we do have, it's a for-profit business, so we want to make money.
Right.
The only differentiator with us is that what we do with the money is what's different, right? So the first thing we do when we make sales is we cut our portion to our impact fund, and then the rest comes in to grow the business and so on and so forth. But we want to make sure that as we're generating value and creating value in the marketplace, we also take it in and bring it into the marketplace. And I think the world is now shifting their thinking from a simple equation, which is what is the risk and what is the reward, to what is the risk, what is the impact, and what is the reward. Because I think at the end of the day, that's the equation we need to be looking at things, because when you create a company, right, and what is the purpose you're creating it for? Just to make money? For me, it doesn't really excite me, right? I want to create something knowing like, okay, this is the purpose why we're creating it. Money and profits are a byproduct, but the main reason we're creating it is this is the impact we want to make into the world. And as we're making that impact, we're also going to make a reward. But obviously, any business comes with risk. So that's the way I'm seeing things shifting in the marketplace, especially even with the millennials and the Gen Zers, these consumer audiences that are now thinking hard about where is this dollar going, right? Is it really going to make an impact? So I think the future of any business is making sure that you're thinking about what impact am I making as I'm chasing this reward in the marketplace.
Man, that's great. So well said. So let's talk about, that product for a second, because, I was talking actually last night with Jenny, who's the founder of Starfish Project, which is a jewelry line that we carry that does great work. And she said, well, what we don't want to have is a pity purpose. So in other words, we have a really bad product, but you buy it because, it gives you a cause, right? So, and I know you guys aren't that way too. So I want to talk about this. You guys, Nunbelievable has cookies, and they aren't just any cookies. They're amazing cookies. And I've got them here. So we have the artisanal. There's 4 flavors of artisanal, at least that we're carrying in the devoted marketplace right now. So I want to talk about that. And then I also want to talk about your keto friendly, which I believe we've got 4 flavors of those right now. But give us, go whatever route you want to there, Kuda, but tell us a little bit about just what makes your overall special, like how you go about making your cookies, what makes them stand apart. If I was to stack them next to a cookie that I know well, why would I like these more? All of that good stuff.
All right. So right now, at my house, we have the low carb line, right? The keto cookie, mainly because my wife is pregnant and she's really trying to.
Congrats, by the way.
Thank you so much. So I don't have any artisanal with me because right now.
I've got that covered. Don't you worry about it. I got it.
So we started out with the artisanal cookie. And the reason why we started with the artisanal cookie is 2 reasons. Number one, I'm a data-driven guy. So before we started formulating and getting into the kitchen to bake a single cookie, we did a lot of research. We spoke to hundreds and hundreds of customers. We looked into online data, and there's so many online tools that you could use to get insights. And what we found was that, number one, there was a unique opportunity for us to create a very indulgent, decadent cookie. And we also wanted to make sure that that cookie had a one-for-one model. So we had to retail it enough so that when we sell that cookie, we can provide a meal. And we came up with our artisanal line, and people love it. I remember when we did a sampling event in Rhinebeck, New York, there were lines of people coming back to try the cookies, and we knew we had something there. And what makes them special really is the cookies are delicious. I firmly believe if you're a food-based company, food and beverage, taste has to be, a non-negotiable.
Right.
It has to be a non-negotiable. So we really worked long and hard to make sure that with a delicious cookie, it's soft bake, so people love it for the artisanal line. And the same thing is true.
Yeah, well, I want to, sorry to interrupt, but let's camp out there for just a second, because I want people to see. I wish you could look at these, but one, they're individually wrapped, which is great, right? Keeps them fresh. It's an awesome experience. Also, as you're thinking about gifts too, this is a very giftable cookie. You can't say that about everything, right? But man, this is so easy. We have, let's see, the peanut butter. Is that what I have right here? Yes, which is great. I love the peanut butter. We have chocolate chip. The other thing though to note, I mean, these cookies, I mean, they've got some girth, man. They are big. They are great. I'm holding right here the oatmeal raisin, which I am a huge oatmeal raisin fan, and these are absolutely delicious. My son loves the double chocolate chip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and this one's gluten-free, right?
It is gluten-free. So we just wanted to make sure that, we have something for everybody.
Yeah. So these are wonderful. So yeah, I mean, is there anything else, at least on the artisanal? I definitely want to shift over to the keto, but anything else? There's chocolate chip as well.
A few other things about the artisanal line is that they're made with non-GMO, better for you ingredients. We don't use any artificial flavors or any preservatives. So it's really the good stuff, right? So when you eat your cookie, just know that, hey, we've taken time to really think about the ingredients, but we want you to indulge. So yes, it's a generous portion, but you can share. And you can have it once in a while, as a reward. So we love our artisanal cookies because they're delicious, and it's a better for you product. But more importantly, for every cookie that you have, we provide a meal to someone in need.
Yeah, so talk about that for a second. I mean, you've obviously talked about your giving, but I just want to make sure I'm clear. So at least what we sell in the marketplace for the artisanal, we sell them in cartons of 12. So when someone buys that, is that giving one meal? How's that work? What's being given?
Well, if you buy the 12 pack, right? 12 cookies, you're donating essentially 12 meals.
Oh wow.
Because it's one for one. Now here's the catch to it, which makes it even more delicious.
Oh.
With Devoted, the impact that we're going to be doing, we're going to be donating to Feeding America. And Tony Robbins has a 1 billion meal challenge with Feeding America, and he's going to match every single meal that's sold through Devoted. So now the 12 pack that you just shared, instead of it donating 12 meals, it's now actually 24, because there's going to be a match that's going to happen when we put in the proceeds that come from the sales. Tony's 1 billion meal challenge is also going to match it, so it's going to be 24. So we're really excited about that partnership, and we get to feed more people. So it gives us even more reason to want to sell as many cookies as possible, because we've just basically doubled our impact.
I'm learning so much from this interview. This is wonderful, man. That is great. So again, I just want to make sure everyone understands. I mean, it would already have been a great idea to go and buy these. But now you're still going to get the great product. You're not paying any more for it than you would have otherwise, and it's going to double the impact. So thank you, Nunbelievable. Thank you, Tony Robbins. Thank you, Feeding America. That's awesome. That is great to hear. Yeah, awesome. Anything else on the artisanal?
No, I think for the artisanal, that's pretty much it. That sort of 12 pack is our top selling product. So if you want to try them out, that would be my recommendation. But
Yeah,
that's if
you're
you
talking about the assorted box, right? So that comes
yeah,
with, what is it, three of each flavor?
it's actually 4 of each flavor. No,
Okay,
it's
got it.
it's 4 flavors, but
Yeah,
3 of each flavor. So you're right.
yeah, yeah,
So you get to try all the flavors, and then if you find out that oatmeal raisin is your favorite, similar to Brett, then maybe next time you can then just buy cases of the oatmeal raisin. But if you're trying them for the first time, the assorted pack is the way to go, because you get to
yeah,
sample all of them. And also, if your family's around, they also get to try all the different flavors as well. So that would be the
yeah,
recommendation. And a lot of people buy multiple boxes, mainly
yeah,
because they buy one for themselves and also one as a gift, because who doesn't
right.
like cookies? So right now, during the holiday season, these make a great gift.
Yep.
And we have companies who buy them as corporate gifts, people who buy them to go to family events and gatherings. And
Yeah.
they make an amazing gift. So why not?
No, I think that's, again, you can't stress that enough. I mean, to know that I could buy one of these, and let's say I work at an office or whatever, and it's like, hey, let me just toss that on your desk and toss that on your desk. And it's not just a cookie, it's a cookie with a story. It's a cookie that makes an impact. And I always say this, it's like, who doesn't love to be the person who gives the cool, unique gift, not just the same old thing. So this is
Yep.
great for that, but it goes well beyond, I mean, teachers, stocking stuffers, also having it out at the holidays. I mean, do you ever hear from people who like, I mean, do they warm them up sometimes? Do they put them in a bowl and throw ice cream on them? I mean, this is like,
So yeah, you're getting into like our little secrets, right here.
yeah,
So if you really want to have an amazing sensory experience
yes,
that you'll never forget, put them in the microwave for about 10 seconds and then just dive into it. The peanut butter, oh my God, it'll just be like melting in your
really,
mouth. Yeah, so that's a secret hack if you really just want to have an amazing sensory experience with the cookies.
yeah,
So that's what some of our veteran in the know customers do. So I'm just kind of like giving you the scoop of
love
once you
it.
get the cookies, put them in the microwave 10 seconds and then just dive in, and you won't want to have another cookie after you do that.
What, man, that's a pro tip right there, straight from Kuda. I like it.
Yeah, my wife was the one who actually came up with that hack, and then we just started sharing it on social, and the feedback was just was just amazing. And then we just said, hey, this is the way to go. This is how you eat an unbelievable cookie.
Wow. Okay, that's great. Okay, so these are the artisanal. Again, those are available. Let's talk about, as I understand it, really kind of what you're becoming known for, which are the keto friendly cookies, which when did these come out, Kuda? Because
Yeah, so these came out in the summer, and
okay,
when we created our product roadmap, we actually didn't have a low carb keto line in mind.
yeah,
But what ended up happening was we got tremendous amount of inquiries from customers who were like, hey, I'm diabetic. I love your mission. I want to be a part of this. Can you create a product for me?
yeah,
We also got resounding requests from people within the keto, paleo community, who were looking for, a product that had, no sugar added.
yeah,
So we went on a quest. We worked for months in creating the most delicious low carb cookie. And this is a claim that I stand on. If you want to, if you want to, question that claim, buy our cookies, buy a competitive brand, and
yeah,
we can do a side by side and see who wins. We've gone to retailers, and retailers who have tasted everything under the sun will be like, this is the most delicious keto low carb cookie I've ever tasted.
yeah,
One of the key things we focused on was making sure that there was no aftertaste, because a lot of the low carb cookies, the keto cookies, they have a lot of, there's an aftertaste that you get because of the sugar alcohols they use.
right.
But we figured out a hack to be able to, still make a delicious cookie without the sugar, but removing the aftertaste.
Yeah. Well, and they're really well done. And these are obviously smaller cookies,
Yes.
and they're very light, like in not just weight wise, but they're light in flavor. They're light in, And so these are like, I don't know, they do kind of remind me of gatherings or holiday gatherings, a little plate that's out there. You grab one of these and you have your cup of coffee and whatever. And, you know, what I keep hearing from everyone who's trying these are one, they're very surprised. I will totally back up what you said on, you know,
The taste.
they're very tasty. Like, forget if they were keto friendly or not, they are a good cookie. What I'm holding here is the Snickerdoodle.
Yeah.
Which is a very good one. We also have chocolate chip, which comes in the blue bag. Okay. We've got the double chocolate chip because, hey, if one's good, then this would be even better, right? That's in the
Double
brown
the
bag.
fun.
Yes. And I'll tell you the one that I think, I love them all. I've eaten them all. I think the one that's become my favorite is the pecan sandy, or as you might say it in the South, and I know you're from the South, the pecan sandy. Okay. But anyway, these are really, really good.
So that's our top seller right
Really?
now. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Like, you know, we didn't even think that that one was going to be the top seller, but when people try them, they just can't get enough. And we've
Yeah.
had top keto influencers, you know, write these glowing reviews about the pecan sandy. The chocolate chip is also doing good, and then the double chocolate and the snickerdoodle seem to be kind of like on par. But
Yeah.
overall, people just love all of them. And right now, what we've been seeing as a trend is people are just taking advantage of, you know, some of the amazing offers that we have on the cookies, like the one that we have with you guys.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's super amazing that people love the cookies, they love the mission, and, you know, especially with the new year coming up, you want to make sure like you start the year off, you know, new year, new you, and you have like,
Yeah.
you know, your low carb cookies that you can enjoy. You can have the artisanal during Christmas and the
Right.
holidays, and then once January hits, you
Yes.
can dive into your low carb cookies, or you could just do both. Why not?
Yeah.
Right? You can
Yeah. No,
balance during the holidays.
I totally get what you're saying, but I will tell you, I can't. These taste good enough to even have during the holidays. Okay, you won't even feel like you're cheating. So that's awesome. Now, you mentioned this a little bit, but so I think the Snickerdoodle has 2 gram net carbs. The other 3 have just 1.
Yes.
You talk about no added sugar, right?
No added sugar,
Mhm.
grain-free, gluten-free,
Yeah.
no preservatives, non-GMO. So we stick to, you know, pretty much the same tenet. What I'll
Yep.
say about the Snickerdoodle, which I'm really proud of, is that we actually include a superfruit ingredient in there, which is baobab.
Yeah.
And that's what gives it a little bit of a citrus taste.
Okay.
And a little bit about baobab, and the reason why I'm proud about it is because it's actually a fruit that's native in Zimbabwe. So we actually ethically sourced the baobab used in the cookies from Zimbabwe. So we've been able to take a little bit of my influence
Yeah.
into the product. But what I'm super proud of is that the women that harvest this baobab in Zimbabwe, we were paying them fair trade prices. So now they get to enjoy a really good, you know, living. They can send their kids to school. They can do all the different things that they wanted to because we've been able to purchase, you know, the baobab powder at fair trade prices, which normally isn't the case when they're selling it in Zimbabwe. So for us, it was one way where we could think about, okay, how can we go above and beyond, you know, just fighting hunger, but really making a tangible difference in people's lives? And we were able to do that with the Snickerdoodle. There are other products that we're concepting and will infuse, you know, some of these ideas of using ingredients like baobab and things like that. But we really do want to make sure that we have the staple flavors, you know, your chocolate chip, your double chocolate, but we also come up with some very creative and different and mouth-watering flavors like the pecan sandy and also the Snickerdoodle with baobab.
Yeah, well, they're so good. And again, what we have in the devoted marketplace is a carton has 6 of these. So 6 bags in each one that you get there, excuse me, that you get there. And again, they're wonderful. So, you know, it's amazing how long you can talk about cookies, especially cookies that taste this good and that have the impact that they do. I'm curious as we, excuse me, as we wrap up here, Kuda, what does foreseeable future look like for Nunbelievable? What do you think? What's your hope? What's your dreams? What are your plans? What can you share with us?
So before we go into what we're planning on doing in the future, I think it's important for us to take a pause and celebrate what we've been able to accomplish up until now.
Yeah.
So at the end of September, our accountants crunched the numbers, and we have now surpassed 1 million meals donated.
Wow.
So for us, it was a milestone that we had set. If you look into some of the communication that we had shared, even with you guys earlier, we wanted to hit that milestone by the end of 2022.
Yeah.
We haven't even finished 2021 and we've hit that milestone.
Congratulations.
So we're super excited by the growth that the business has experienced. And we wouldn't have been able to experience this growth without the support of our customers, without the support of partners like Devoted. So, you know, we just want to take a moment and celebrate that. However, in life, you cannot live off your past success, right? You have to, you know, continue working and establish new goals. So our new goal now is we want to hit 10 million meals donated by the end of 2023. Wow. So we have about 1 year and 3 months to make it happen. So it's going to require us really just getting the cookies, you know, in so many different places, working with, you know, Devoted, you know, the customers, the affiliates, everybody, to really just get this cookie gospel of Nunbelievable out into the marketplace. So we're really excited about this, you know, audacious goal that we've set for ourselves, but we believe that we have the product, we believe that we have the customers out there that are gonna, you know, get us to where we need to be. And I can't wait for us to celebrate that amazing milestone.
Yeah, well, no, it's already the milestone you've hit is great to celebrate, and it'd be great to celebrate that other one too. So way to have big audacious goals there, Kuda. That's wonderful. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, hey, anything else you want to share before we close out? I want to, by the way, while you're thinking about that, I want to thank everyone who's watching. Again, this is what Devoted is all about. You always know, hey, there's going to be a give back portion. It's going to be great products, but I love digging into the stories of each of these brands. That's really fun. I mean, just look at the stories that we heard tonight in this. And the other thing too, if you're a preferred customer with Devoted, I can promise you, you have a discount code on your account that you can use, whether you're watching this in December as we publish it live or beyond. That's what preferred customers get. And so wouldn't it be wonderful to apply that to an order that has some Nunbelievable cookies in it? So that would be great. But anyway, thanks for joining us and shopping with us. Kuda, any final words you want to share with everyone?
Yeah, one final thought I want to share is that, you know, for me, when I started the business with the team, we were like, okay, it's just one other project. We're just going to build this business and we'll see what happens. And what we've realized over time is that we're literally changing lives, because there's a story of a guy called Rashawn Mason. He became homeless when COVID started. He lost his job and then he was evicted. And we work with a partner called City Relief in New York City to provide meals to people in New York City, New Jersey, and surrounding areas. And Rashawn was able to actually survive from the meals that Nunbelievable was contributing to City Relief during that time where he was homeless and he didn't have a job and he was sleeping on the street. And as a business, we believe in, you know, also putting in our time in making a difference. So we regularly go out and volunteer. So at one of the volunteering sessions, that's when we met Rashawn, and he was thanking us. And we were like, what are you thanking us for? It's like, you guys saved my life. You know, if it wasn't for you, I probably, you know, I don't even know what would have happened to me, but I was able to have, you know, food and survive during the pandemic when I was homeless and didn't have a job. To now, I now have a job, and I'm now coming back and giving back to the community. And that's why he was now volunteering with us at that event. So it became full circle for him, because he was once the guy who's at the other side of the table receiving aid, but he was able to go through that situation, and now he was on the other side serving. And for me, it was like a moment where I was like, wow, like, these are real lives. And the key lesson that I learned was that it can happen to anyone, because there was a day in his life when he never thought that he would be homeless, jobless, and in need. But with what we're doing, with the capability to then be able to be that shoulder that people can lean on in that time of need. So just know that as you're supporting Nunbelievable, you're changing lives of people like Rashawn. And we have a little video that, hopefully, Brett, you can share with the community so you can hear it from him on how, Nunbelievable was able to change his life. And when I talk about Nunbelievable, I'm not talking about us as the brand. I'm talking about the customers who support the brand, because without the customers, we can't make the impact that we would like to make. So thank you for everybody who has supported or will support, because you're enabling us to make a tangible difference in the lives of people. And that, in my opinion, is priceless.
Yeah. Wow, that is wonderful. And by the way, for those of you who want to go watch Rashawn's video, we will have that on our blog, on our main site. So just go check that out. Kuda, thank you. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your vision and all the hard work and everything that you're doing. And hey, I'm going to enjoy the rest of this oatmeal raisin cookie. I want everyone who's watching here, go check it out. Go stock up on some Nunbelievable. And anyway, enjoy it. Thank you, Kuda.